Hi, I'm Matt from hockeyreviews.ca, and this is the Vaughn SLR3 thigh rise test with the puck machine. So yes, this is a very light video. Yes, the review isn't out yet. It will be coming soonish, hopefully, but it is what it is. So to preface this whole video and everything in here, Vaughn actually screwed up my pads when they made them. And one of the pads, I think it was the left one, I'll show you in a second, was actually made with the stock stiffness, which in this case works out excellent because I was able to test the stiffer pad that I got versus the stock stiffness that is on all retail SLR3 pads. Unless you get like the just hockey ones, which are like significantly stiffer, which we'll talk about that. But this was great in that sense because you could really see the difference between these two. I will show a video of me flexing them, which the video I sent Vaughn and said, hey, these are wrong. What do I do here? So in all props and fairness to Vaughn, they replaced them free of charge. They said, ship the pads back. I shipped them back on their dime. They fixed them and they sent them back and I had them back in like a week. And I asked what was wrong and I got a response of I broke them. Somehow flexing them broke them. But in reality, they were just made with the wrong core on one of the pads. It was a mistake. It happens. Would have been nice if they just straight up admitted that that's what happened. I could see why that being kind of a boilerplate response almost of, oh, something must have happened in shipping. Yeah, so I'll show off the flex of this and then we'll show off the actual puck machine test itself. And remember, the thigh rise test for this is at about 65 miles per hour. Give or take, the machine isn't entirely accurate, all that. I go through that every time and you should watch my other ones to see how other pads do. But this is supposedly Vaughn's stiffest pad, but it is like Vaughn's butterfly type style pad with a stiffer core in one of them. So it's going to be very interesting results, especially with all the times I pointed out Vaughn pads failing in the NHL in the last year and a bit. So this will be fun. Before we show all that, if you want to support the channel so I can keep doing more videos like this and making more content, and you're buying hockey equipment, check out the links in the description to Pure Hockey if you're in the US and Hockey Supremacy if you're in Canada. Clicking those links and making a purchase gives me a kickback to help support channels, making more reviews and doing like actual tests like this. Otherwise, if you want to support the channel, check out Patreon, Buy Me a Coffee. Everything that goes through any of those links always comes back into the channel completely. Help me make more videos and do more content. I feel like this has to be one of the best examples of what the difference between a stiff pad and a soft pad really does in terms of stopping pucks in the thigh rise, and why stiffer thigh rises and really breaks above the knee, or below the knee I should say, also kind of matter. Even this stiffer SLR3, which was, I got as stiff as possible to order. Now, maybe Vaughn has a special option to get it even stiffer, but when I talked to the rep at the time, I said, I want this as stiff as I can get it. And you can see the results. It's still not very stiff. I have posted again and again this year of clips of NHL goalies with pucks going through their thigh rise, whether it be Jonathan Quick, Alex Nedeljkovic, or Jack Campbell. I showed evidence and like times where the thigh rise just got out of the way of these goalies' pads and the puck should have been saved. Now, I will never blame directly a company for making something that a goalie wants. So when I post clips like these, I don't really blame Vaughn for the goalies ordering pads he spec. They could order it stiffer, like Darcy Kemper's, for example, which are much stiffer and closer to my SLR3s. But at the same time, these soft pads in these videos were the stock version of the SLR3 in terms of stiffness that hit most retail shelves, unless companies like, or stores, I should say, just hockey, ordered stiffer versions. And that is frankly not stiff enough. Now, again, this is their stiffer, and I put in air quotes there, obviously, and bigger rebounding and butterfly style of pad, when the velocity is supposed to be the softer one. And you can see how these just aren't stiff whatsoever. Again, this is always going to be a personal preference thing, but just for what this pad was, it wasn't good enough for what they're advertised as and what the kind of market for it is. And I know I rustled some feathers at Vaughn, where their head designer commented on my Instagram page, commenting about my lack of butterfly flare where I need to be in softer pads. But the fact that but just seeing these results and comparing them to the competition, you can kind of see why like there is criticisms of that and why companies were ordering with different specs. Now, I heard that going forward, and you can see it when I show the video of this for the V10, Vaughn is considerably stiffing up these pads, which is a big improvement, and I'm very happy to see. I think these results also do a very good and hilarious job of showing when people online talk about SLR pads being stiff ones. So people would always make recommendations of like, oh, I want a stiff pad and I want this. And they're like, oh yeah, Vaughn SLR, great rebounds and like a stiff pad. And you watch this result and you're like, where's the stiffness? Because these are not a stiff pad whatsoever. So I'm always kind of get chuckle at that. And it's always a losing battle, unfortunately, because people will kind of read marketing materials and won't really look at how their end result is on this. Now, again, if you get the just hockey version of these, like my one pad here it's kind of stiff, but it's not really stiff. It's just sort of stiff, but the stock one is not stiff whatsoever. And again, there's always going to be a balance of these style of pads specifically, and like the thigh rise stiffness as well as mobility and how a goalie wants to move. There's going to be a ton of goalies that, like Jonathan Quick, for example, that are never going to get out of the style of pad that they're wearing. Like Brian Elliott still wears a very soft E-Flex pad. It's going to be harder to move those goalies into something with a stiffer thigh to change things when they're so comfortable with what they're wearing and they've worn it forever and they've had success for it forever. So you have to kind of balance between what you're comfortable with these doing and like how many goals you're basically going to give up. And if people are going to say this won't happen in a game, it does happen in a game. I have played multiple times where I drop in a butterfly and I miss it with my stick and I see the pad move when it's coming in on me. And I've seen it in the NHL as well. Like I've literally posted examples of it happening to goalies in the NHL this year where a puck gets tipped, the stick can't get there in time, hits a thigh rise, goes right through. The pad should have made the save. That's on the pad. If it hits the pad like anywhere here, it should have probably made the save. If it hits the very corner and the very tip, I'm not blaming the pad. That's physics. It's going to be basically impossible for it to save. But even if it hits like here, and going like here, the pad should be stopping the puck. For people who are like want a more flexible pad, that's fine. You can like, do whatever you want to do. I'm just pointing out that when pucks hit these, they're going to cause goals unless you have crazy double coverage. So both of the pads always hit each other, or you magically think that you can get your stick on every single shot in the game, because you just frankly can't. No matter how good your technique is, hockey is a game where things get tipped and you can't read everything and something will just move a split second too fast for get your stick down. It happens. That's kind of the point of sports. They're fun for that, and you can't be 100% scientific and methodical in everything you do. So you want to have double coverage often in order to, if something goes wrong here, this can happen. And that's why blocking styles and cutting the angle down and stuff like that is all the thing in hockey, where you want that, if this gets tipped, do I stop this way? Things like that are important, and it does matter. But again, you can figure out what you want in a pad. All I'm saying is there's a ton of goalies right now that switch to like true Catalyst PX3s, which are very stiff, as you saw in my footage for, and goalies like the genetic line from Brian's has gotten a lot stiffer up here just for this reason. And you can still have like flexible down here so you can feel that movement and everything, but all of this is going to get in the way better basically. And Bauer kind of teeters that line of where like their hyperlights and stuff. I haven't done this test with a stock hyperlight set, because if I'm buying, like being able to do tests of Bauer gear, generally speaking, I have to buy it. I got a chance to demo Mox, and Mox are obviously stiffer, but like I have a set of hyperlight 2s probably coming, and they're in my specs, so they're extra stiff. So, but pads like Bauer, where they're still like, they have a curve, but they're still stiffer than stuff like this was stock when it was totally straight. So you gotta kind of balance what you're exactly looking for, but a lot of people who are like, oh, I can't wear a pad with a stiff thing here. You might be able to, and like V10 is a pad that is going to be pretty close to what you think you can't wear, and it's probably going to be wearable. Just, it is a change in everything there. But again, you're going to have to figure out what you want and what your tolerance for stuff is. For me, the pad's got to make the save, because my stick's not always going to be there, and if the pad hits the pad, better stop it. That's why I have pads on. That's why I have thigh rises on. So make the save. Again, people aren't going to agree with me, and that's like whatever. I just have video proof of how this stuff works over again, and I have NHL proof of it working like that. And I've just had like feedback of where people are seeing what the results of this are, and they're making changes on it. So that's always a great thing. I'm very excited to see what Vaughn does. I think I mentioned in this video SLR3s, Vaughn's changing. I meant SLR4s. So Vaughn supposedly is going to a stiffer pad of this for the SLR4 stock, which I'm very excited for. I don't know if I'll be able to test them. It depends if like there's demo sets out there. It doesn't always happen. I obviously bought these, are crazy colorway. I don't know what I'm gonna do with them in terms of replacing them. I really like how they look. I kind of like how they play. We'll talk about that in the review, but I don't know if I really want to go the route of buying a new set like for the 4s. So we'll see where that comes down to, because I would obviously love to test this of the 4s and see how it ends up being. I thought this video was pretty interesting. I hope you found it pretty interesting. A full review of this will be coming soon. I have a lot of videos to do, and I'm working on, and I'm slowly working on, and I'm getting through them as fast as I can. It takes a long time for me to like do these tests and edit it and all that. Unfortunately, I'm a one person here, and my time is the constraint. So I'm trying to do the best I can for that. But yeah, if you want to see me review like specific company's gear, like say the E-Flex, which used to be a soft pad, and you want to see me do a puck machine test on the E-Flex, reach out to CCM and let them know that. That would be greatly appreciated. CCM goalie, like they have 2 accounts, goalie account, and let them know that. That like kind of help me out in that sense. I'm trying to get demos of those too, just to try them out, because it'd be cool. But stuff like that is helpful if you like companies or you want to see me test the stuff like this. But thank you very much for watching, and take it easy.
You're watching HockeyReviews.ca.